What's up? It's Rattlesnake, host of the Chairgatin Podcast, here on a personal mission to keep that white trash stereotype of NASCAR alive and well, and just generally making NASCAR rad again. And if it sounds like my voice just got kicked in the throat by a horse, well, that's because I just got back from Nashville. And if you're coming back from Nashville with a clear throat, you clearly didn't do Nashville right. So it's been a couple weeks since my last recording, and I thought, what should I come back with? I need to come back with a bang. And sure, I could come back with another great interview, because what person in the NASCAR industry doesn't want to be on this podcast? It's the best NASCAR podcast. But I said, Rattlesnake, no. Your fans want something more personable. So I figured I'd bring y'all something extremely personable to me. And just like the rest of you degenerates that actually watch my material, we all like beer and wine and liquor, but there's one type of beverage that I am more adamant about than any other, that I have a stronger opinion. Sure, I like Coors Light, but I'll drink a Miller Lite and a Bud Light and a Lone Star. I mean, it's all kind of the same. But there's one type of beverage that if you like one of them, you don't go to the other. Crossing lines is unheard of. That's like crossing the picket line. And I am, of course, referring to Coke versus Pepsi. Now, nobody probably remembers this today, but back in the day, there was this big marketing ploy by Pepsi called the Pepsi Challenge. And what they did is they took people off the streets and had them blind taste test Pepsi versus Coke. And they always made sure to take people that said, like, no, I prefer Coke, because everybody's been brainwashed by Coke's marketing to think that they actually do prefer Coke. And of course, at the end, the twist was the people always chose Pepsi. And they came out with this, study showing, a double-blind taste test study, more people prefer Pepsi, so it's actually better. Now, what I don't understand is the people on the streets that couldn't tell the difference between a Coke and a Pepsi. I mean, how does somebody randomly stop you and you say, no, I definitely prefer Coke? And then when you're giving both of them, you can't just be like, well, this one's clearly Pepsi, I can taste the difference. But I think that does kind of represent the Coke fan base. If you meet a Pepsi fan, they're going to tell you they like Pepsi better, and they're going to be able to drink it and tell you this is Pepsi. This is why it's better than Coke. If you meet a random person on the street, they're going to say, yeah, I prefer Coke. Why? Because you were brainwashed as a child to prefer Coke. Now, if you haven't been able to tell already, clearly I'm a Pepsi fan. And I actually studied that Pepsi challenge in college in my marketing classes when I was getting my degree. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, a NASCAR fan with a college degree. Whoa, Rattlesnake, I thought you were supposed to maintain the stereotype for NASCAR. Well, it was a state school, alright? So calm down. But I always kind of had that same idea about the Pepsi challenge. That's bullshit. There's no way people can't tell the difference between Pepsi and Coke. And since my audience is NASCAR fans, I figure everybody out there that's watching or listening to my content loves Pepsi or Coke, because we're all white trash. Now, don't worry. I know Mountain Dew is still the official soda of NASCAR, or Coke, or Pop, or whatever the hell you call it. In Texas, we say soda, I guess. I don't know. But I decided, you know what? Let's finally try this Pepsi challenge. And as a Pepsi fan myself, I'm very confident that I'm going to be able to taste the Pepsi. The perfect sweet nectar of Pepsi versus that bitter, peppery Coke. So I was thinking, why stop there? Why stop at Pepsi v Coke, right? I could do Pepsi products. Mountain Dew v Mellow Yellow, right? Sierra Mist v Sprite. But after spending about 2 to 3 hours going around town looking for these drinks, I could not find Sierra Mist or Mellow Yellow. After doing a little bit of research, it seems like Sierra Mist isn't Sierra Mist anymore. It's called Mist Twist or some bullshit, which kind of reminds me of the Mr. Pibb to Pibb Extra thing. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm a Dr. Pepper fan. I'm from Texas. Nevertheless, the only other two options I could actually find were Cherry Coke and Pepsi Cherry. Or is it Wild Cherry Pepsi? Yeah, Pepsi Wild Cherry. Flavor with other natural flavors. So, even though I know I'm big-brained and I'm going to be able to tell the difference between all these drinks, I thought it was only fair to do a complete blind taste test. And instead of gouging out my eyes for this, I decided I would just use different cups. And since this is such a highbrow, fancy challenge, what better glasses to use than wine glasses? Unfortunately, the only wine glasses I could find in my apartment were this one, which I think is also for wine or whiskey, I don't know. And this one. So, with these two glasses that may or may not be for wine, thanks to my wife, she will be pouring these knowing which one is which, and I will just blindly taste them to see which one's better. In fairness, I got a weird suspicion my wife might put the Pepsi in this one, knowing that I'm going to choose it, but let's see. All right, so we got our first one poured. Let's give it a taste. Do I look like that Kermit the Frog meme? I think this is Coke, but it's none of my business. So, this one's already going to be docked a little bit of points for making me choke on that hilarious Kermit the Frog meme impression that I was doing. But, you know, not bad. I'm like 99% sure this is Coke. Well, let's give the other one a try just to see. All right, we got the next drink ready in this sparkly pink wine glass. Let's see what we got. I gotta say, this is closer than I thought. They are a little bit harder to tell than I initially thought. But good thing for all of you, I'm essentially a sommelier of sodas. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one the slight edge because it's a little bit sweeter and not quite as like peppery. Getting a hint of pepper and all sugar. So yeah, going with this one. It's slightly better, but you know, it's not a huge slam dunk that I thought it was going to be. And I'm fairly certain this is going to be the Pepsi and this is going to be the lower tier Coke. Before we get the results back from that one, we're going to move on to the next cherry challenge. So, going to start out with this one. I'm not really sure how I feel about this challenge as much. I'm not going into it as confident as I was in the last one. So, we'll see what happens. This one's good. I'm not totally sure which one it is quite yet. I want to taste the other one first, but I don't think anything's going to beat this one. All right, moving back to my favorite glass. I feel like I'm eventually going to be able to taste the Coke between one of these two because I don't know the last time I ever had Wild Cherry Pepsi. I remembered as a kid, if I'm going out anywhere and I want a cherry soda, it's going to be a Coke. But let's see. That one's also good. I'm going to have to go back to back this time. Are these the same sodas? Is my wife just messing with me at this point? Samantha! They're different. Alright. Giving the slight edge to this one. But I honestly have no idea which one is which. And it's only a slight edge. They're both really good. But like I said, I have no idea which one is which. The last one, at least, I'm fairly certain which one was Pepsi, which one was Coke. But when it comes to the cherry, they might just be stealing each other's recipes or something. All right, so got the results back. And first one's first. Like I said, I was pretty confident going into it. The one I selected was, in fact, the Pepsi. But like I said, it was a little bit more difficult than I thought. And if you're not a complete degenerate or NASCAR fan like myself, and you're just some random guy off the streets, there's a good chance that you actually might not be able to tell the difference between the Coke and the Pepsi. At least not much as you think you're going to be able to. But I knew it. I picked Pepsi. I've always been Team Pepsi. The fact is, it's just sweeter and it tastes better. But not as much as I had in my head. And maybe I'm just a hipster and I want to go against the crowd. Since everybody loves Coke, I'm a Pepsi guy. I mean, I have a mustache and I'm wearing a retro Star Wars sweater. Oh shit, am I a hipster? No. Not skinny enough to be a hipster, and I don't ironically love NASCAR. I truly love NASCAR. Anyway, here's the results for the next one. The one I picked was Pepsi Wild Cherry. But I think that's probably just because it's Pepsi and it's slightly sweeter than the Coke. But I think my biggest takeaway from that one was how similar those two products were. I mean, there's a legit chance they're just copying and completely ripping off the other's ingredients. And I know they kind of do that with everything, but I could barely tell the difference drinking back to back between the two of them. And no, I didn't do Diet Pepsi versus Diet Coke. Why? Because this is NASCAR. We're not drinking Diet. And since it seems to be impossible to find Mellow Yellow, I think for the next video, I'm going to do a Mountain Dew challenge where I taste all the Mountain Dews and rank them. And I would say I'll make sure to do that if you like this video and you like this challenge. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm going to do it just because I like drinking Mountain Dew. I like Dale Earnhardt and Mountain Dew. But if you did happen to like this video and you're new to Chairgatin and everything that I do, make sure to go listen to my podcast, because that's where I'm doing everything. This YouTube thing is just kind of an experiment and a way for people to see how beautiful I am. A way to match this angel voice with this angel face. And for all my podcast listeners that came here, you're listening to the podcast, here's your opportunity. Check out all my other videos below. They're okay. Also, go check out Burnt Rubber Racing Network on YouTube. I've uploaded a few videos over there and some of my favorite content that I've actually done. And also, podcast listeners, hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast episode after this clip. And for you YouTube users, sucks for you. This video's over. Peace out.